Can you retire at 55 with $2 million? Let's find out.
And now, That Financial Guy Show with Keith Wilson.
You know, I see all the time in videos and articles saying, hey, this is how much you need to retire at certain ages. And here's the truth. There is no magic number of how much you need at a certain age, because that's going to depend on how much you want to spend in retirement and what retirement looks like for you. Now, everybody's number is going to be different, and you know I can't give you specific advice because I don't know your specific situation. But let's do this. Let's look at, if you want to retire at 55 and you have $2 million saved up, I mean, come on, $2 million at 55, that's a lot of dough, right? So let's look at this. Two examples of couples that are the same age, 55, the same $2 million saved up, and the same amount they want to withdraw each month. So let's follow their progress and see how each fared out. Now, speaking of follow, why not do this? Follow this channel, give it a like, and click that subscribe button. That would really help me, spread the wealth of information out there to help people just like you with their personal finance journey. Okay, let's dive into the financial planning software of these two and see what degree of success they have at retiring at 55 with $2 million. All right, so the first couple we are going to look at is Michael Scott and Holly Scott. As you can see, I'm a big The Office fan. Both of them are age 55, and their goals are, hey, I want to retire right now at age 55, and in retirement right now, I want to receive $7,000 a month in income. And by the way, we'll adjust that for inflation each year. And I want to spend $10,000 a year on top of the $7,000 a month for, vacations and things like that. And we've also calculated healthcare costs, because that's a biggie, and long-term care. Let's see how they're situated. So they do have $2 million saved up, and that's spread out between $80,000 in their emergency fund. They've got $1,920,000 in investments, and it's spread out among the three buckets I always talk about. They've got $1.4 million between the two of them in IRA. They've got a joint brokerage account, $350,000, and each one of them have $85,000 in a Roth IRA. But look at this, their net worth statement. They do have some debt right now, $15,000 in credit card debt, and then they're still paying on their mortgage with a balance of $325,000. Looks like it's got about 20 more years to go, so keep that in mind. But here we go, $2 million. I want $7,000 a month in retirement. I want an extra $10,000 a year for vacations. And when I say $7,000 a month, by the way, for income, that's just to pay the bills. Light bill, gas, food, groceries. It's not inclusive of any debt payments, insurance, or taxes, okay? So keep that in mind. So let's see what their degree of success is going to be. 55, I got $2 million with those parameters. Okay, this does not look good. 32% degree of success. You mean I'm 55, I've got $2 million. All I want is $7,000 a month in income, an extra 10 grand. What's going on? 32% degree of success. So when we see this working with clients, we're going to have to say, look, it is what it is. This is where you are. That's not a good degree of success. And this is all probability, of course. The software kind of projects things, but you really want something good. And by the way, they're invested in a 60-40 portfolio, 60% stock, 60% or 40% bonds. So we would have to say, look, guys, if you really want to retire right now, maybe let's pare that $7,000 down to $5,000. That's pretty good. pretty good. Usually we want to see that around the 75% range. That's pretty good. But let's look at another couple. All right, here we have Jim Halpert and Pam Beasley Halpert. As you can tell, again, I like the Office. I'm a big fan. I know in the show they're younger than Michael Scott, but let's say they're 55 each. So the same age as Michael and Holly. And they have the same goals. I want to retire right now at age 55. I want $7,000 a month of retirement living expenses. And again, that's just to pay the bills, going out to eat, groceries, shopping, whatever. It's not inclusive of taxes or insurance or debt or anything like that. And they want to spend an extra $10,000 a year. By the way, I don't know if I showed it with you with the Scotts, but both of them want to do that for 20 years. All right, so there you are, but let's see where they sit. Do they have the same $2 million? Yes, they do. It's spread out this kind of the same way. They have both of them have $80,000 in their emergency fund. Both of them have $1,920,000 in investments, but it's spread out among those buckets differently. So for Jim and Pam, they each have $85,000 in an IRA. They've got a joint brokerage account, which is an investment account, taxable account. They each have $375,000 in a Roth IRA. But you'll notice here, they have no credit card debt, unlike the Scotts. And they have no mortgage. That's why, if you notice, if you were paying attention, their net worth is higher because they have no debt. Let's take a look at their degree of success with those parameters. Aha! 98% degree of success. Same $2 million. Same income parameters, $7,000. Same vacation goals each year, lasting 20 years. Same age, want to retire at 55, but their degree of success is 98% versus 32% with the Scotts. So I would say this again, everything was the same, but here is what made the difference in the degree of success with these two people. Really, two things stand out. One was the amount of money that was in each bucket. You see, Michael and Holly, if you remember, had $80,000 in a savings account or emergency fund, $1.4 million in IRAs, and $350,000 in a taxable or a brokerage account. So when it comes time to start withdrawing, we calculate, we show our cash flows when it comes to withdrawals coming in that order. Taxable first, tax deferred, then the Roth. Also, you're going to know the Scotts went into retirement with credit card debt and mortgage, putting another strain on the portfolio, whereas Jim and Pam, they had their $2 million in the same buckets, but the amounts in each bucket were different. Jim and Pam had the same $80,000 in savings, but had $170,000 in IRAs, $1 million in taxable accounts, and $750,000 in Roth IRAs. So it helped them out by having more in the taxable account because taxes, which are capital gains in a taxable account, they're typically lower at a 15% tax rate versus ordinary income tax rate. And those withdrawals lasted until they reached required minimum distribution age. Then they switched to their IRAs, keeping that Roth growing tax-free, and therefore had plenty left over that they could spend or leave to their beneficiaries however they want. Also, Jim and Pam went into retirement with no debt, no credit card debt, and no mortgage. So look, I know this is somewhat a simplistic example, but it's a lesson here, a lesson of how your assets are located, not so much how they are allocated, and not going into retirement with debt. And how are you going to handle health insurance costs? So all of that comes into that equation. Hey, everyone's going to be different, and this could give you something to consider, before you pull the trigger on retirement. And I must say that I really love meeting with people and, crunching these numbers to give them either confidence or maybe shaking things up a bit to get them in the right direction.